Have you ever thought about the power of social media? Social media has the power to make your business grow. Grow! Yeah! Why don't you let us manage your social media? Because our business is to see your business grow. Visit us at www.bstownmedia.co.za.
Another one's bread, sans apostrophe.
The Center of Excellence in Food Security was launched in April 2014, and it brings together researchers from across 22 local and international organizations and universities. It was co-hosted by the University of the Western Cape and the University of Pretoria to basically conduct research into how a sustainable food system in South Africa can be achieved to ensure nutrition for all, especially the poor and the marginalized. The biggest challenge we face is that South Africa is nationally classified as food secure. However, food security manifests at different levels. Household food insecurity is an issue, and food security is a complex issue to address. So, you're not just talking about food in people's stomach, you're talking about nutritional content, you're talking about access to food, you are talking about the cost of food as well. So, the myth about food security is whether people believe that, whether it's about hunger and that's about where it stops. But there's a lot more to it. Food security is political, it is social, it's cultural. Food is part of our identity even in South Africa, and especially in a multicultural context as South Africa. Food permeates every facet of our lives. So to try and actually explain food insecurity in a country that is food secure is where the challenge begins. The center currently has 9 focus areas, or rather 9 research programs, ranging from programs that look at children's, looking at malnutrition. There's a program on plates that looks at what is in the food basket on the plates of South Africans, what people are eating. We look at food safety. We look at, there's a SARCHI, South African Research Chain Social Protection for Food Security. We have innovation. We have symbols. Again, we're looking at the symbolic interactions and symbolism attached to food. We have food politics and we have policies. And some of the research findings that we've looked into so far, for example, is we have our research program, for example, on food safety. We find that South African consumers are not very knowledgeable or well informed about food safety, but in the formal sector, there's a little bit of knowledge of food safety aspects, but in the informal sector, there's little to no knowledge. For example, the poor will take to smelling food to assess whether it's good to still eat. And even when they've assessed there's a spot that is off, they've resolved to cut it off and then still prepare the food. So the food safety challenges are there to try and inform and educate the public about what food safety is.
What a good man. What a good father. What a wonderful husband. Hey. What a good man. What a good father. What a wonderful husband. Such a good man. What a good father. What a wonderful husband. It's a woman. What a good woman.
Well, for me, the notion of mourning is something that I personally was dealing with at the time. And for me, it was some kind of healing, of talking about death in a different way. Also the fact of food and people being poor and not having food to eat. So those things are very close to my heart. So anything actually that has anything about social imbalance or inequalities are something that's very close to my heart.
All our collaborations are important. I mean, the center itself is grounded and rooted in collaborative and multidisciplinary research. So at the moment, we have 22 partners from local and international organizations. We've recently just also been awarded the UNESCO Chair in Food System for Africa. That will be hosted by the Center of Excellence, held by Professor Julian May. And so these collaborations, especially this one, will allow us to expand our network into Africa as we seek to become the key organization that looks into food security in South Africa and in Africa as a whole.
Oh my word, so much. First of all, I mean, there's certain things that we had to accept as individuals. Like, for instance, like in the play, we talk about a young girl stealing pads, and then one has to acknowledge the fact, their privilege, their own privilege, that we actually don't worry about where and how we're gonna get sanitary towels. Do you know what I mean? Because it's such, and you don't really think about those things. Like every day that there's people out there who can't even afford pads. And also, in terms of food, we also take it for granted that we eat every day. And doing this show for me, it's I'm more conscious now about food. I'm more conscious about wasting food. I mean, I remember yesterday I had this meal and I was full, and I was literally walking around with this packet because, like, the idea of leaving food in the restaurant or throwing it away it made me feel uncomfortable. And those are some of the things that I'm dealing with as being part of this process.
Did she tell you she disowned me? Because of the prison thing. Yeah, and the shoplifting. And then she said I'm an embarrassment to the family. That's why she sent me away. She didn't send you away. She sent me some.
Well, one of the key deliverables or the mandates of the Centers of Excellence by the NRF is to share the knowledge, to share the research findings with as broad an audience as possible. So it goes beyond just publishing in a journal or presenting at academic conferences. We need to take food itself is about the people, so we need to take the research to the people, and we need to do so in a way that is relatable, that is informative, and that will leave people informed enough to make informed choices about their lives and healthy living and healthy lifestyle. And the easiest way to do it, we figured, let's go to the theater.
Do you know why we go to so many funerals every weekend? Just look at our leaders. Leaders. Well, I've never been to a funeral. Oh! Funerals are best. We love them. 2 or 3 in a weekend. Funerals are big business. The coffins, the motorcades, the procession, the flowers, and the food. Ooh, don't forget the food. That's why we go. You guys go to funerals to eat. My home. We collect leftovers, and during the week we feed hungry children in my schools. Yeah, but we do eat. We do. They do. There's never anything vegetarian.
I hope that they are aware of their reactions and what they find funny and what they don't find funny, and what the other person who's sitting next to them finds funny because of the different skin color and different politics and how they affect them as black and white. So those are the things that I hope people are aware of more often, more than what they hear from us, but what their reaction and what they feel about what they hear.
Land. I wish the government would just build people houses on decent plots of land, and teach them how to grow their own food. Yeah. But this solution is too simple for this government.
I'd like to believe that people will leave here with a better understanding of the complexities associated with food security and food insecurity. That it's not just, South Africa, for example, is faced with the triple burden of malnutrition. We have hunger on one level, and then we have obesity on the other. So the play itself tackles multiple of issues such as health, nutrition. We're talking about diabetes, which is a health-related disease and such. So I'd like to believe that people walk out of here with, if nothing else, think differently about the food they eat, the way they access the food, the way people that are without enough money to buy food also have access to those food, and what they put in their bodies, and whether they want to live a healthier life, and how do they do that with the little that they have.
My jam! Sing grace. Yes. How Lord has promised good.
We're hoping, I mean, we always say, like, as theatre people, like, if we can change one person's perspective or enlighten someone's ideology through other people. Do you know what I mean? Because ideally is like we try to communicate, because we're different as people. We have different backgrounds, we have different understanding of the world, and hopefully that this play will sort of like show people the other side. You know what I mean? The other side, because ultimately we want people to have some sort of empathy. You know, just because it doesn't affect you, you should understand that it may affect someone deeply. Unlike, I mean, we're from Cape Town. We're dealing with the water situation right now. And there's a conversation that's happening about the waters, like the zero day. But the fact is, in the township, people have been living in A0 day most of their lives. Do you know what I mean? And now it's here, and people are getting affected, but other people have been affected for years, way before that. So we're hoping as well that the play will sort of like open other people's minds into seeing what other people have to go through.
But also that we can make a change, you know, because that's what the women do. At the end, they say we're making a change. We're trying the best we can, not only change our lives, but to help others who don't have, to support them.
I think the biggest thing we want to say is one of the our research agenda, as far as possible, is informed by the existing problems. And so there's a lot of what is happening in society that we can feed into. So I think that what we want to take people to know about the center, our research agenda, is actually informed by people's lived experience that shape the way in which we then choose what we go and conduct research on.
And 5, 6, 7, 8 substitutes.
Like these, go to www.social-tv.co.za. Subscribe to us on YouTube and follow us on our social medias.